Okay, let's look at Standard 19 Substandard F. Compare the geographic locations of the European theater and the Pacific theater and the difficulties that the U.S. faced in delivering weapons, food, and medical supplies to troops. Okay? Alright, so let's look at, let's see. Earlier we talked about the turning points, and here we need to talk about the theaters of war and the European theater and the Pacific theater over here. Alright. Across the Atlantic Ocean was a distance, but not as much of a distance as across the Pacific. But the distance there was getting across this Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean were extremely important. But the geography of Europe was also important in providing troops with resupply of food items, weapons, medical supplies, and even more troops to refresh them. So let's look at the European theater first, and let's compare it with the Pacific theater. With the European theater of war, the biggest obstacle at resupplying troops with medicine or weapons or food was that the Allies did not have access to Europe. Germany had gained a block of Europe here, and it was hard to even get access to that area. So access was obstructed. So the main difficulty here within Europe, in the European theater, delivering weapons to the troops was obstructed because Germany's hold over mainland Europe. There was no beachhead to resupply the troops. That's the biggest difficulty they had there in the European theater. They did not have a beachhead so they could resupply the troops or move the troops. And that's why the beaches of Normandy were invaded and the Nazis were pushed out back to Berlin, so they could establish a beachhead and so they can resupply, move their troops and mobilize them to push Germany back. So that was a geographic location and a difficulty the United States faced in delivering those things. In the Pacific theater, okay, in the Pacific theater over here, let's look at this. Here's the Pacific theater over here. Its biggest difficulty in resupplying troops with medicine, troops, or food was the distance, this great expansive distance across the Pacific Ocean. Wide distance across here. And we see that Hawaii and Midway became important places during this World War II. Because of its distance and refueling, landing the vessels there, the ships and all, warships and battleships and all, and moving those throughout the Pacific was important. But to be able for the United States to get supplies to its troops over here in these islands where they were fighting, and close to Japan over here, to move across there they needed resupply points. So this distance is going to become a great obstacle for the United States during World War II in the Pacific theater of war. So the biggest obstacle faced by the United States in the Pacific during World War II was delivering weapons, foods, and medical supplies across there as a result of distance. I want to emphasize this word here, distance. Let's put that in bold. Okay, so this distance was an obstacle. And with that, I think we've met our objective. Let's see. Compare the geographic locations of the European theater and the Pacific theater and the difficulties the U.S. faced in delivering weapons, food, and medical supplies to troops. Ask questions in class. Good luck on the quiz, the test, and the EOCT.